Love a good notebook. And this is just some of them. My last two refillable notebooks have been this Discbound notebook that I put together piece by piece and this small passport-sized notebook. For a while now, I've been looking for a little notebook that I can easily carry around so I can jot down random ideas as they come in my head. And you may recognize this one. This is the Field Notebook, and I've had this for 5 to 10 years, but I've never really used it. I have a couple pages filled out, but I didn't like the idea of it being kind of permanent, or that when I would run out of pages, then I would need to get another notebook and things would be a bit disjointed. I like the small format, but I want something that's semi-permanent with flexibility and modularity so that I can move the pages around or add pages as necessary without messing up the entire notebook. I've had other notebooks where I would remove pages, change the functionality of the notebook, but then all the pages would come out. It was kind of a disaster. Then MeePlus reached out to me to see if I would review their Reporter notebook that opens up like this. Like you're a reporter, pretty self-explanatory. Then I looked at their lineup and saw that they had another one, their Slimpad, a more typical notebook format that opens sideways, and asked if I could try both out. So MeePlus did send this to me, and this video is partially sponsored, but they have no input in this review whatsoever. I only work with brands that trust my process and value the way that I review. If you're into notebooks, these might look familiar. They're like the Plotter notebooks, same idea, comparable quality and formats, but at a fraction of the cost. So let's see what makes these notebooks so good. And how rude of me, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jess. This is Gadgets Gear Coffee, where I do in-depth and real-world review of well-designed gear like tech, cycling, coffee, and the gears that connect them. If you're into functional gear and thoughtful design, click subscribe and stick around. You may discover some really cool gear, and you'd be helping me reach my goal of 50K by the end of the year. Because I really want that silver play button. I have some ideas for that. Thank you in advance. The brand MeePlus is from a husband and wife duo, Laura and Toby from Hong Kong. Yay to supporting small businesses, and they hand make everything. So it takes roughly a week for them to produce after you place the order, and then another week or two ship. The prices are gonna vary depending on the size and depending on the leather that you get, depending on the accessories you add on. To give you an idea though, the Reporter notebook starts at 89 USD. The Mini Slimpad starts at 99 USD. The good news is, free shipping on orders that are $50 USD or more. So if you order a notebook, you're for sure gonna get free shipping, and it's free shipping for all of the regions that they do ship to. They told me that the duties and taxes are already included in the final price, which just adds less of a surprise when you get your package, because what you see at checkout is the price that you will pay, which I always like for simplicity. If you're interested in buying any of these, the affiliate links are in the description. Clicking and purchasing through those links does give me a little bit of a kickback at no extra cost to you. It's an easy way to support the channel, especially if this review helped you. So it allows me to continue making great free content like this, buying gear for my videos. So I do have a discount code. All of that information is in the description. Let's do a quick overview of these two product lines, the Slimpad and the Reporter. This is the Slimpad Mini. It is the smallest of their product line. They also have pocket, narrow, personal wide, and an A5 size. Different ring sizes, which will affect the thickness and how many sheets you can fill in the notebook. I went with the smallest of the smallest, so the Mini with an 11mm diameter ring, which is minuscule. Didn't even know they made these, but enough to hold plenty of sheets for me to write down all my different ideas that I have or when I'm traveling. I have a larger Discbound notebook that is discs, and what I liked with this one is that I could easily write on both sides without the rings interfering when I'm writing, but it's also a much bigger notebook. With this notebook, with the 11mm ring, they're so small that they don't get in the way of writing on the reverse side of the paper, because I can easily rest my hands on either side of the ring and write comfortably, but even when I rest my hands on the ring, it's not an issue. It's of course not the same as a notebook that has no rings at all, but it's an easy adjustment, and it really doesn't feel like much of a compromise. And also, it's fantastic to write on since it lays flat when open. The Reporter is a slightly different format as it opens on the top like that. It's really fun to just flip it over. You can easily go left to right without any issue. It also lays flat. Even though the leather is a little bit malleable, it's thick and rigid enough that I can hold it in my hands and still write very easily. Especially because getting an elastic loop is pretty necessary for these notebooks to keep it closed when not in use, because if not, they have kind of a tendency to be more open. The backing is also rigid. I use these two notebooks slightly differently. This one is a little bit more semi-permanent notes. This one is really to-do tasks that are easy for me to throw away, random notes that I'm writing for when I'm doing like coffee reviews, and it's things that I don't really plan on keeping. It's, oh, my taxes, I need to do all those things. Or like, ooh, groceries. Today, I need to focus on these certain tasks. How I plan on using these pages specifically, personally, is to use one side, flipping the paper over, and then using the other side, like scrap paper. MeePlus has a 1-year warranty on their notebooks. When I got the Mini, I was surprised by how tiny it was and realized it was smaller than I was used to, which was more pocket-sized notebooks. But I'm absolutely in love with the Mini. It is tiny but efficient and plenty enough and easily packable that I do end up using it all the time, and I can fit it in really small spaces that normally I would struggle with bigger and heavier notebooks, so I find myself reaching for it often. There's a few components to these notebooks. First, we have the leather. You have 4 different leathers to choose from, and they'll be slightly different prices. They have different finishes, characteristics. All of the leathers are Italian or UK vegetable tan leather, high quality. They smell fantastic. They're also uncoated, so they'll show natural texture and patina over time. They can also show marks a little bit more easily. But if anything, that really just adds character to these things because this is leather. The whole point of this is to keep it for a long time and for it to grow with you. If you do really care about marks, the lighter leathers are going to show marks a little bit more than the darker leathers. MeePlus actually has an excellent video showing the different patina. I will link that video in the description in the section called Other Videos. There'll be quite a few resources there. We have 4 different leather options. We have the Pueblo, which is actually this one, Italian leather in black with the silver spline, and I got a matching silver ring. Their most affordable leather and also their most popular one. I think it also has the most color options. It has a little bit of texture, it's a little bit matte. They said it becomes a little less fuzzy with time. I don't really find it that fuzzy. It's not suede-like at all. It just becomes a bit smoother as time goes on because it develops a little bit of a sheen and gloss with use. It will patina quite a bit over time, so do reference that video. You'll be able to see the different examples that they have of different colors. And they also have another one called Wax Pueblo that has a white wax coating on top of the leather, and see all of the different marks and get that nice contrasting color as well. That's something to consider. Butero leather is Italian as well. It is more sleek, a little bit of that sheen and gloss, a little less texture to it. It is slightly more rigid than the Pueblo. It will age consistently, and the scratches will show a little bit more on this because of that sheen versus the Pueblo that has a little bit of visual texture to it already. So the scratches are a little less visible on this one compared to this one. So far, I haven't had any significant scratches, but I do see some surface ones, but it really doesn't bother me because it's part of the look. And this is the Butero in light brown with the gold spine and the gold rings. I asked them if I had to also hydrate them. They said no need. Under normal use, no conditioning needed. Butero and Pueblo absorb some of the oils from the hands with everyday handling, while the bridle is heavily wax infused during the tanning process, so it stays nourished for a long time. However, if the surface luster does fade, you can always add a bit of mink oil. The last option is the bridle leather, which is from the UK. And the idea of these leathers is horseback saddles. That rigid leather, it's not going to be that rigid in this notebook, of course, because it's not as thick as well, but it's that type of leather. The bridle leather is going to feel a lot more closer to a hardcover notebook, not quite, but the closest one to that. It will soften with time, but at the beginning it will definitely be a little bit harder to close. The most durable of their leathers, and it will patina a lot more slowly. You will definitely need the elastic for that one to keep that one closed. The Pueblo leather, you can kind of get away with it not having the elastic. The Butero, sort of as well, but I think that's kind of annoying, so I really like the elastic closure, and I'm also just used to having that on like a lot of my notebooks. They had a great comparison from their website that I will put right here. You can always pause the video to see the different comparisons. These elastic closures I feel are pretty necessary for the notebooks. I would highly suggest getting them. For the Slimpad, they have a lot more accessories. There's a lot more of a larger product line. They have simple elastic closures like this with the pen loop like this. They have another version. This is an insert that you put inside, and it has a charm with different letters that you can get. I got one for J for Jess. When I pick this notebook up with the pen, it's easy for me to know which direction to open the book in because I have my pen facing this direction, so I know that this is up. Without the charm, it would be really hard to identify which side is front or back. So, I mean, if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. Or you can stick a sticker. That's what I ended up doing for the report because they didn't have a charm version. So I can identify which side is which. They also have an option where you can do engraving on the spine. So that would help you be able to identify which side is which. They also do have a possibility to stamp or engrave the leather, but it's something you would need to speak with them. It's something that would be very custom. And it would add, of course, cost and I think time. So that's not something that's necessarily readily available, but if it is something that you want, it is a possibility. They also have simple elastic pen loops that you can sticker on so it doesn't stick out that much if ever you want something more sleek, for example. They have various colors. This ring protector, you can also choose various colors and it has the logo on there. Very subtle. It will help add a barrier between the leather and the rings, really minimizes embedding that will happen otherwise on the leather. So even though I have that ring protector on right now, there is already a little bit of that happening. The other item on here that you would have to choose is your spine. Connects to the ring mechanism inside and the leather is wedged between the two. There's gold, there's silver, there's brass, but the brass was out of stock. It's a cool visual component because normally on these cheap ring binders, if you've ever had it, it's just like a dot to keep things in place. But this is a nice, beautiful, sleek piece. They hand make these ones, they round the edges. I'm just a little bit semi-disappointed that both of mine came scratched already, but then I also realized that they're probably gonna scratch pretty much instantly as soon as I start using it. So I didn't really cry about it too much because I've gotten a lot better with my things. I used to get very upset when things would get scratched, but I've grown as a person. My fingernail is not even catching, so it's really just like a very light surface scratch. And it's not only beautiful, but it also adds rigidity to the notebook. You can get engravings on here, various fonts that you can choose from. You can even provide them a custom font. The silver one, I think it's stainless steel, but then I wondered about the gold. I asked them if it was plated, and I was concerned about the longevity of this, if it would scratch off with time. And I'm gonna read their explanation. I don't wanna get it wrong. Our gold spline uses PVD vacuum coating, which has stronger adhesion than traditional plating. With daily use, tiny scratches can occur if it contacts harder objects, but actual peeling is extremely unlikely. Zero peeling so far. If I have anything to add, like any of my reviews, I will add an update section in the description, whether positive or negative. Now, the other component to this when you're assembling it will be your rings on the inside, of course, the mechanism. The number of rings will depend on the size of your notebook. Have various sizes that you can choose from. On the Slimpad, it is a KRAUSE mechanism, which is German-made, what's used in all of the high premium quality notebooks, Filofax, for example. It's touted for its quality, its precision, tightness between the teeth closing properly. That precision translates to smooth page turning without them getting caught in the teeth. If you've ever had cheap ring binders, which is why I was kind of against ring binders for a long time, because I didn't realize that you could actually, in fact, get really good mechanisms for it. This does prevent a misalignment. It's just really good quality. And if it does get misaligned, there's easy ways to fix it. When I open the notebook, I open it by the side. I close it, holding the rings, putting equal weight. And what's fantastic with a ring notebook versus a Discbound notebook is I don't need thick paper with this, so I can fit more sheets in here than this. The smallest one that they have and what I have on here is 11 millimeters. That is really tiny. That's impossible to have in a Discbound notebook. The good news is that if it should fail, you could replace it yourself. There is a video tutorial on that as well, and it will be in the other video section of my description. I haven't done it myself yet because I'm not at that stage and I'm not gonna take it apart if I don't have to, but you just need a tool like this and a new mechanism. I looked online, costs about $30 to $40 Canadian, which is really great. And they said under normal use, they can't really predict how long it'll take to fail, right? How many times you're gonna open and close it. And it could last 10 plus years before it even fails. Longevity-wise, it's really great. However, on the Reporter, because it is a completely different format, this is not a KRAUSE mechanism. This is being very nitpicky. It's a very good quality ring mechanism, although I looked very quickly and I wasn't able to find a replacement for that. So hopefully maybe that's something that they'll be able to sell on the website so that you would be able to just purchase them additionally. That would be really great, actually. MeePlus, if you're watching this, you're probably watching this, please add that in so that people can eventually repair their notebooks. I'm very big on being able to repair and have things that last a long time, especially when they're premium like this. I will say that just playing around with these two mechanisms, the KRAUSE one is very crisp when you close it. And this one just, ow, that was my finger. It's still very clean and crisp, but there's just some slight difference to this one. It doesn't have as much of a crispness when you close it. I'm very hypersensitive to things, so that's like the best explanation I can give. I'm gonna see if I can capture this with the microphone. I just opened it. Okay, now the reporter, I'm opening it, and I'm gonna close it. Does that even get on the camera? I'm gonna place the microphone on the paper. Now on the Slimpad. Hopefully you heard something. If I'm traveling, I'll have this notebook and I'll write my travel log, places I've been. I often keep those notes, highlight the ones that I think are great. That way when someone asks me for recommendation when they go on the same trip, I have my notes handy because I will not remember it, but I'll have my notes and I'll be able to quickly reference them. For only the Slimpad, they have a PVC simple binder. The ring mechanism is not KRAUSE. It's very, very simple, cheap, but does the trick, see? No fancy spine on this one. And I can just keep things in storage in here. The last component of this is gonna be your refill papers and your accessory, basically what you're gonna load your notebooks with. MeePlus offers a large selection of paper refills, and this isn't even everything that they offer, but this gives a general good idea. On the Slimpad options, which has way more refills than the Reporter has, which only has 2, there's a really nice detail on all of the papers right here that says Mini Joy, how cute, or crema and other details. Spark paper. I find that the pricing of these are very reasonable, especially for the quality. And there are tons of paper refills to choose from, so it can easily evolve with me as my needs change. To test the quality and explaining the different papers and their characteristics, I'm going to do a couple of pen and marker tests to show bleed through, ghosting, all of that, how it looks on the other side. I have my trusty cross edge pen that I absolutely love. I'll link this in the description. Even though it's not a metal body, I just have not found anything that matches this pen. It's my absolute favorite. You can pull it open, quick release to be able to get into full size. Cross 0.7 millimeter gel rolling vault refills for the ink. And then we have this beautiful vintage Parker pen. This came in a set of 2, but I only used the fountain pen. This is from my Laoye, which is my grandpapa. He had amazing, impeccable taste. And this has a fine nib. For the ink, I have several. Currently, I'm using this one in my Parker pen. Then we have a classic Sharpie, thick tip. Well, it says fine point, but it's kind of been blunted now. Some highlighters. It's important to note that not all papers are created equal. Some papers are a higher quality and it makes a difference. In general, the higher the GSM, the thicker the paper. Normally, I like to go for a 90 to 120 GSM paper just because I like the consistency, I like the thickness, and also I know that it's just not going to have an issue when it comes to bleed through and ghosting and being able to see it on the other side. That is a good value to go off, but the quality of the actual build of the paper makes a difference. Let's start with their lightweight series. It's a white paper, 50 GSM, multiple different options. The blank, this is the 3.5 millimeter dot that they have, ruled, grid, weekly planners. Very surprised with this paper because despite being ultra thin, it's also very durable and smooth. They add a resin to the paper pulp during production and that strengthens the bonds between the fibers. There's also a thin layer of coating applied to the surface and it gives us a smooth finish, and it also slows down ink absorption. So the ink is mostly drying on the surface of the paper. It's less likely to have any bleed through issues, but because the paper is thin, you are likely to see it on the back. Honestly, still not bad considering this is a 50 GSM piece of paper. I'll use my cross pen first. If I go right away over it, smudges. This is also a gel point though, keep in mind. But if I wait a little bit, there's not an issue. Permanent marker, my Parker pen, fine nib, highlighter. And a really cool test that they did on their blog. Let's see if I'm able to do it with this ink. Is to put a drop. There we go. See how it doesn't even absorb right away? It just sits on the surface like a droplet. That's that coating. It's pretty incredible. I don't even want to reverse the page because it's gonna make a mess if I do. So let me just blot that out a bit so I can actually show you the back side now. Permanent marker is the one that shows the most, but otherwise it's very impressive for a thin piece of paper. Thick series, they have a lot of options for this one. The most options in their lineup so far is going to be in the thick series. It's 120 GSM cream paper, beautiful cream paper, nice and thick, great consistency. If you like that, there's bifold, they have trifold, quadfold of various things. They have planners, like an accordion, ruled, they have dot options, they have various to-do lists, so many to-do lists. This is a simple to-do list. I find it strange that the circles on the right, I would have liked it on the left, but that's just a personal thing. Because when I make my own to-do list, I usually make a little square on the left, or I just cross it out. They also have some with dates, shopping lists, travel logs. This one is not quite the same color though, for some reason. It's a bit whiter. Movie or reading list, which is really cool. So I started using this one to track my movies. I used to do it on my computer. I just didn't really use it. So I quite like this so that when I'm looking for something to watch, I can just pull up my book instead and not get distracted, because when it's digital, I just get distracted way too easily. And I really like this travel log. Before that, I would log everything like this, just nilly-willy, which works really well. And I would just highlight important things and I would make my own little cover pages. But now I can combine blank pages and then the travel log pages, and it allows me to open up to any page or write down my thoughts before I lose them, and then I can rearrange the pages after. It also has a thin layer of coating that's applied to the surface. It gives it a nice smooth finish. Once again, the ink dries mostly on the surface. Because this one is thicker, not see the text on the backside as much. So if that's something that really bothers you, get a thicker piece of paper. With the KRAUSE pen, see, if I don't wait right away, actually this one absorbs a lot quicker. Fine nib, Parker, permanent marker, highlighter, then the ink blot test. See that ink right there? A little circular droplet just sitting on the surface. It's not bleeding it's not absorbed by the paper. It's actually just staying put. Blot it so that we can reverse it now. Oh, I'm getting ink everywhere. Really good. Even the permanent marker is barely showing through right now. If I have multiple pages together, my preference is something that's between the lightweight 50 GSM and the thicker weight 120 GSM. I'm really hoping, MeePlus, if you're listening, to please add a medium weight. This is my Dingbats journal, which is a 90 GSM cream. It has a coating, it has nice quality paper as well, and I really like this in-between format for pretty much all uses. They do actually have a medium weight paper, but it's for the reporter. This is their medium weight. Whoa, no. This is their medium weight paper. It is an 84 GSM. They also have the 50 GSM lightweight for the reporter. So you have two options, no thick weight for the reporter, no fancy any writing here, available in blank only, I believe, for the reporter. For now, I'm assuming that they're gonna continue expanding that product line as it gets more popular. A quick comparison between the thicknesses, we have light, medium, and the heavy, 50, 84, 120 GSM. Similar to the other ones in terms of the coating and the quality of the paper. Let's test it. Takes a second before it dries. Give it a second. Now let's see. If I waited a bit longer, I wouldn't smudge it. So that's not getting absorbed. If I were to reverse it, well, it's actually just smudged there from something else. I think it's from my other pieces of paper that it touched. Little dot. Once again, that's my finger. I'm sorry, I just have so much ink everywhere. But you see, you can't even see it across right now. The dot is, in fact, right there. Still not bleeding through, it's just sitting on the surface. So I'm just gonna do this. Only the permanent marker is showing through a little bit. So light. Even the ink blot isn't even showing through that much. So this is a happy medium. Oh no, more ink. What's your preference for papers? Drop a comment. Other accessories that you can get for your notebook. So in the Slimpad, I have these dividers, that nice leather piece on the top on both sides, which is like really nice, but like it's a very thick piece of leather, to be honest. It's definitely premium. You have 3 different leather colors for the separators. Something cheaper, maybe just get the separator on my own and put like a little plastic tab. This card holder. They had told me you could convert your notebook into essentially a wallet by doing this. It can hold very tightly 5 cards. I'm not a type to make my notebook a wallet. You could, if you are somebody that's very minimal. They also have this Ziploc pouch that you could throw in some coins. So yeah, you could turn this into a wallet. You could put some cash. Ta-da! The Reporter also has a accessory for cards, but I was really only able to fit 1, maybe 2 cards in there. So I think they would need to make it a little bit more wide so that the pouch can accommodate more cards, because I didn't find it that functional. You can fit a couple business cards in there. One small note for these inserts, only available in the Pueblo leather, and as my Slimpad notebook is a Butero light brown, they actually didn't have it perfectly matching. I really don't have very much negative things to say about either of these. Again, they work really well. Between the Slimpad and the Reporter, it's gonna come down to how you use notebooks. And at the end of the day, if you want something that has a lot more paper refill options, more accessory options, KRAUSE mechanism, this doesn't have the KRAUSE mechanism, go for the Slimpad. Do you like using a notebook like this, like a classic notebook? Or do you like using a notebook like this? I like both for different formats. If I had to only pick one, personally, I would go for this one because I use this as a to-do and quick note, and I could have done all of that in this. Use the separators for different things. So is it worth it? That's gonna depend on your needs, your budget. They are really good for the price. It's like a one-time investment, and then all you have to do is buy the refill papers, which are actually not that expensive. It's way cheaper than the plotter. I love the modularity. It's high quality. Is this something that you would consider? Actually, I'd love to hear from your comments down below. And if you have other notebook systems that you really like, drop them in the comments. I'd love to see. Maybe also like what pens you like using with them. I can throw this in my tiniest sling. Here's one of my beautiful slings from Bellroy. I did a review for this. I'll link it in the description. Also, leather, small sling, and I can easily just throw these in with like that and still have room for other things. If you want something that's premium, that's gonna patina, that's gonna grow with you, that's modular, this is definitely a good purchase. I hope that helped you if you were considering getting these notebooks or not and seeing how I use them. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you use your notebooks. If you would like to learn more about this Discbound notebook that I put together, you could always watch that video right here. If not, the YouTube algorithms are telling me that this video might be of interest for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Also, like and subscribe, please. Hype the video, do all the things.